interested. So let's see what we get here. So again, welcome. My name is Dieter Drake. I'm with Anthem Tours. I've been promoting events for cycling events for quite a long time, as Doug and Mary know and Liam know. And we just a brief history of Anthem Tours. We decided to move into cycling tours about 10 years ago, actually, in southern Chile. So this is by far our favorite tour and my favorite destination for bicycling. Liam's been a number of times, and Liam is our tour director for this tour. I'll be more or less a guest this time, but I'm happy to do that. I'll even put my name up on the van like I did this past season, Liam. So it'll be fun. But Liam is your tour director. But I'm going to go through this presentation a little bit, and Liam may jump in too with some comments about each day and kind of how we operate these tours, which may or may not be similar to other tours that you've been on. So can everybody see my screen okay that I'm sharing? Okay. Can you see my introduction screen? Is that being shown? Yes? Okay. All right. So quickly, just a quick itinerary for this presentation. We've done some introductions. I'll talk a little bit about Anthem Tours. I've kind of briefly discussed that a little bit, but why do we go to southern Chile? I'll talk to you about the history of why we go. We'll go through the tour overview and then kind of what we do, what we provide, and what we don't provide. We'll talk about the tour itinerary day by day, so you'll know what you're in for each day of riding. Although each day we obviously support each day with a tour van, with a bicycle trailer, and then maybe one or two other vehicles supporting. But every mile is optional. If you don't want to ride at all that day, that's perfectly fine. There's no obligation to ride any and all days, but a lot of people do, obviously. We'll talk a little bit about the end about the accommodations and the travel, and then we'll open up for questions. But again, if you have any questions at all, please feel free to chime in and raise the little hand, or just speak up. Sometimes I won't see it. So about Anthem Tours. So Anthem Sports Tours or Anthem Tours, we've been operating amateur and professional cycling events and custom cycling tours for about years, believe it or not. Primarily in the Northeast U.S. for our events. Tour of the Bat and Kill is our largest event that we've produced. That is still actually the largest event from Pro-Am cycling race in the U.S. history, believe it or not. So we had once upon a time we had about 3,500 racers from about 20 countries and 48 states. Long story of that event, but we divested that event. We took it back this year, as Liam knows, and Mary and Doug know. That event is actually under our purview again. So Great North is another small event that we produce. Tour of the Catskills is a fairly significant event, probably 500 racers and riders in the Catskills of upstate New York again. So a wonderful, very recreational event. The Tour of Vail, we produced that event in 2012, and that was a very large, again, Pro-Am cycling event right in Vail, in the town of Vail. So a wonderful opportunity to produce that event in such a great area. I personally, not Anthem Tours, but I personally was the director of Rag Ride. If you're not familiar with that, it's the largest week-long bicycling ride in the world. It's had up to, actually during the 50th a couple of years ago, which I was not a part of, I had over 50,000 riders from around the world. So a really fantastic event and opportunity for me. Still the opportunity for me of a lifetime to be part of that great event. Again, about 100 events, a little bit, actually quite a bit more than 100 events now, since 2004. So we just had this wonderful run of cycling events and tours, and we get to spend weeks in exotic locations like southern Chile now with friends. So we're really fortunate. Just a brief summary of our upcoming tours. We'll talk about Chile, obviously, but we do have a Colombia gravel tour, our third gravel tour in the Santander region of Colombia, which actually Mary and Doug have been a part of. That's coming up on November 30th through December 5th. So just after Thanksgiving, if you can put down the eggnog and the turkey dinner after that Thursday, that Saturday is the first day of that gravel tour. It's a wonderful tour, as Mary and Doug know. It's really an amazing. The best day on a bicycle I've ever had was in Colombia. Whitewater rafting and cable car rides across canyons. It was just an amazing week. We'll talk about our Chile road tours. Again, these are all road tours that we have upcoming in Chile. Although we've dabbled a little bit in gravel, we're probably going to postpone that until 2027. So we'll talk about those two cycling tours and then the adventure bonus tour in between. We do have the ride across the USA. For the second year, we're going to be doing that next July. Liam ran that tour also last year. We decided to add a couple different options to that tour. We got the full crossing, which you can do. It's Portland to Portland. The half crossing is what you would imagine is halfway across the U.S. So Portland, Oregon to Des Moines, Iowa, another one of my favorite towns. And the quarter crossing, which we added also, which is the first quarter, July 5th through July 16th. That we think that's going to be very popular, riding through the Rockies. And from Portland, Oregon, you dip your tire in the Pacific, and we'll ride to Bozeman, Montana over about 10 or 11 days. And then we're going to do another Iceland gravel tour, which again, Mary and Doug were part of, and Liam ran that tour as well, next July also. And that's kind of overlap a little bit with the ride across the USA. But our base tour is July 30th through August 6th. And then we'll have a bonus tour like we have for Chile. We'll have a bonus tour immediately following, where we'll probably tour the southern coast of Iceland, which Mary and Doug can attest to. It's one of the most amazing places on the planet. In fact, I think you were just talking about the poster you're going to put up on your wall. So where's Chile? It's at the bottom of the world. So we're way up here in North America, in the United States. Typically, most of our guests come from North America. And we travel south. So where's Chile? So it's way down south. So you're flying probably, for example, from JFK. If you fly to JFK, which I've done a number of times, it's about a 9-hour flight to Santiago, Chile, which is right actually where this red dot is. And we actually fly a little bit further south to a little town called Temuco for this tour. We're going to fly into Temuco. I'm sorry, no, we're going to fly into Puerto Varas, aren't we, Liam? We're going to fly into Puerto Varas, which is about a 2.5-hour flight further south. Once you go through customs in Santiago, do the transfer a little bit within the airport. They've
rearranged their estimation. It's only another hour, 15 minutes from Santiago. It's shorter than 2.5 hours.
Not a terrible flight. It's a domestic flight from Santiago. All international flights arrive into Santiago, Chile, without question. And even if you're flying from Argentina, you have to fly into Santiago, believe it or not. And then you take that short domestic flight south to the lakes and rivers region, which is where our tours are. So Santiago's again right about the middle of this country. It's a big long country on the west side of the Andes. The Atacama Desert's further up here by Peru, and then Antarctica is further south. Our tours are right about the 2/3 of the way down the country in the northern Patagonia lakes and rivers region. Okay, so why southern Chile? Well, number one, it's warm in the wintertime up here. It's summertime right about now. They're mid-spring, so it's October. Yeah, they're about mid-spring right now in southern Chile. So they're just starting to warm up. We've gone down for this tour as early November, and it's been great. We've had 70 degrees, 75 degrees days during that week. This is quite a bit warmer, so this will be early January. So it's full on summer in southern Chile. So it's a wonderful escape from the winter in North America, certainly north of where I am now. Well, I'm in South Carolina now in Greenville, but it still gets cold here. But where I'm from and where Liam's from in upstate New York, it is bitter cold in December and January. So we're perfectly happy to get on a plane and fly 8 or 9 hours to Chile and ride a weekend in southern Chile. It's wonderful. Very cycling friendly as compared to the U.S. and a couple of places, as people know widely that it's getting a little bit more dangerous to ride bikes especially on the roads in the U.S. People are texting and driving more often. That is not the case in Chile. It is the laws support cyclists far more than they do in the United States. So the roads, number one, are wonderful roads. They're well paved, and we don't ride on any gravel typically. It's for this tour at least. The roads are well maintained, great shoulders. The traffic, the drivers are very, very friendly. Again, because the laws support that more so down in Chile. It's actually it's a felony to hit an automatic felony jail time to hit any cyclist. So lots of respect on the road from drivers. We never get any hostile drivers at all. In 10 years, I've never had a single hostile driver. And I could ride probably 2 or 3 days here in South Carolina and probably get 1 or 2. The culture is very, very relaxed, as Liam knows. Nobody's in a hurry. It reminds me a lot of the South here, honestly. It's very, very relaxed. The great food, all the food, and I brag about the food all the time about Southern Chile and Chile in general. All the food is authentic. There really aren't any chain restaurants. So every restaurant that you go to, the meal is prepared. There's no frozen food. They harvested the day before usually. With a couple of maybe exceptions to that, there are one chain, but it's a chain of two restaurants in two opposing cities. I don't think they do any frozen food there. All the food is locally sourced. The hospitality is wonderful. The people are very, very friendly. And it's a very tourist friendly area. So they like people from out of the country coming down there to spend money. So, I've always had a warm welcome with everybody that I visited down there. Everybody's very welcoming, and certainly on the road, it's a great experience riding a bike. Okay, so we'll quickly go through the tour overview and talk about, again, we'll talk about day by day, but you can see the map. This is our tour. Normally, as Liam knows, we go from north to south, but we're mixing it up this year for a lot of reasons. We're going to go from south to north. So as I mentioned, you're going to fly from Santiago, which is out of the screen, to the north here. You're going to fly into a little town called Puerto Montt here. So that's actually quite a big city. The airport is Puerto Montt, but it's outside of town. We actually stay in the lakeside town called Puerto Varas, and it's by far my favorite city in southern Chile. It's just a wonderful German-Swiss inspired town. The whole area, this whole region in the south was colonized by the German and Swiss back in the late 1800s. So you'll see that reflected in the architecture and the menus in the restaurants. So, which is a really interesting thing and not expected by a lot of people. That's people wouldn't expect to see a German or Swiss influence in Chile of all places, but it's definitely noticeable. We ride about 30 to 60 miles per day on average, with all ride options in between. And we may have a couple of days that extend beyond the 60 miles. And I know we have a day that goes below the 30 miles. So on average, we're 30 to 60 mile days on the road. We're stopping for lunch, for photos and coffee and anything else, just if we want to stop and chat by the side of the road. Last year, as Liam knows, it was raspberry season or blackberry season, wasn't it, Liam? So we were stopping on the side of the road to pick blackberries with our guests, which was great. We go from lake to lake. You can see this is the lakes region, the lakes and rivers region of southern Chile. Each one of these lakes is very large, very blue, and very beautiful. The views are great, and there's always a lakeside resort town that we stop at. So that's in restaurants and things like that in between. So we go from lake to lake and hotel to hotel along this 7 or 8 day journey from south to north in this trip. We go right up north. Again, the Andes are always to our right in this tour. We'll end up in a town called Pucón, which is a very tourist-friendly, very touristy town, certainly in January. It'll get a little bit busier the more north we go. Certainly in Pucón, it's the peak of tourism season in the Lakes region. Pucón is a very popular town. Again, all abilities are welcome. We've had people that have never ridden a road bike before ever. And that is, we had that actually this past February for an extended tour. People had never ridden bikes. A lot of those people rode e-bikes. All abilities are welcome. It doesn't matter. Again, all riding is officially optional. If you don't want to ride, we got a great support van and driver and support staff that sometimes that's a lot more fun being in the van, honestly, because sometimes we'll take extra little stops that the people on the bikes don't see. Again, e-bikes are available. All manners of road bikes are available for rent, and including e-bikes. So if you want to run an e-bike, there's no issue there. We can provide that for you. Okay, so here are our 2026 tours. Again, as I mentioned, we've got really 3 tours. Let's call it 2.5 tours. The first tour is our traditional Lakes and Volcanoes tour, which is 7 days and 7 nights. And it's actually more like 8. So we'll talk about that. But that's January 6th to 13th. So that's actually kind of a midweek start, which is a little bit unusual for us. We're normally Saturday to Saturday, but this is kind of a Tuesday to Tuesday, let's say, because we wanted to add this adventure bonus tour in between our 2 tours to do some non-cycling activities in the Pucón area, like water rafting. There's lava tube caves that I've never been to that I've been dying to go to. So we'll explore that. We'll go to the top of the volcano. Perhaps we'll we'll take a pirate boat cruise out on Lago Villarica. So some exciting non-cycling activities planned for that 3 or 4 days in between the two tours. If you want a more competitive experience, we'll be doing our third, Liam, Peaks Coaching Group training camp. And that starts on that following Saturday. It's exactly the same tour, but again, we're going from north to south to go back to our origin point in Puerto Varas. That is definitely tailored to more of a competitive athlete that wants real training. You get the coaching benefit of Hunter Allen, who is really the father of power training in the United States. He literally wrote the book on it. So he's a personal friend of mine. He'll be there as well. Liam will be running that tour also. So Liam will be spending the better part of January, I think, in Chile this year. Okay, so what's included? What we like to say typically is you get off the plane in Chile, there are no more expenses until you get on the plane to leave, with a couple little exceptions. All accommodations, all meals. So breakfast, lunch, and dinner we provide, the transfer in and out, so all the shuttle services. So, for example, you're going to fly into Puerto Varas. It's about a 20-30 minute transfer from that airport over to town. So obviously we'll provide that shuttle for you. We provide the support van. It's a 15, 16 passenger van every single day on the road with you. And with this tour, we'll probably provide an additional vehicle. We've had as many as 3 additional vehicles for this tour. A couple of years ago, we had a very large guest list of about 15 or 18 people, I think, maybe 16 people, let's say, plus staff. We had a staff of 5. So we had actually, I think, 4 vehicles, maybe 5 vehicles on the road for that week. So we believe, again, my events background, I strongly believe in support on the road. I overdo that. For sure, I want to make sure you're comfortable and safe on the road in any circumstance. And the response time, if there's any incident, even if as simple as a flat tire, we're minutes away. And we GPS track certainly all of our vehicles. And if it's a voluntary thing, if you want to participate in the GPS tracking via your phone, that ends up being very popular. If you're not entirely comfortable about riding alone, perhaps, or with a couple of other people in a strange country, we'll know where you are at all times with that app. So that's another added support service. We do all the planned routes and the maps. Obviously, we provide a tour guidebook when you arrive. In fact, ahead of this tour, probably about 2 weeks ahead of this tour, so Christmas time, I'll be sending out the PDF version of that, and you'll get a final printed version in your day bag, which you'll receive on day 1. We provide the Anthem Tours day bag, so that's a really nice little bag that we provide so you can put all your gear for the day instead of pulling out all your extra things out of your luggage mid-ride. You have your day bag for all your extra clothes and shoes and things like that. Custom jersey. Obviously, we'll do that again, and then we do daily excursions to hot springs and volcanoes and boat trips and things like that. So each day has kind of a fun little excursion plan, shopping even. Not included again, tips. We don't include that as part of the fee. Personal expenses, if you want to buy some artwork or a bottle of wine, that kind of thing, we'll certainly transport that for you if you get it mid-ride. Bring it to the hotel at the end, but we don't cover that expense. Airfare, certainly we don't cover airfare. Alcoholic beverage, that's always been negotiable. For this tour, we will provide at least 1 bottle of wine every night for the table. If it's 6 or 8 people, we'll probably two bottles of wine. We love Chilean wine, so we're not averse to providing some beverages in that respect. So bike rental, we don't include that, although we do have carbon aluminum e-bike rentals available. Feel free to chime in and send us an email if you're interested in doing that. Extended stays, we talked about that. If you want to come a little bit early, we'll book the rooms for you, but that's certainly not included in the tour. And anything I didn't mention, obviously if you want to pick up something, sweater, things like that, those things would not be included in our base tour.
One other thing that I want to mention real quick that is included are world-class tour guides. So we mentioned on I would be considered a tour guide or lead guide on the tour, but more so than that, we have a really fantastic staff of local Chileans down there. So your mechanical support, his name is Seba, and he's a personal friend of mine and a fantastic cyclist, fantastic bicycle mechanic, but more than that, he's a bilingual tour guide. And so We also have Victor. Victor is going to be your van driver for the week. He is also considered a tour guide, and he's learning English, and so he really loves it. He really loves to kind of help you with your Spanish, and if you help him with your English. But more than just support, they're really tour guides. They're really seasoned crew, and we're a ton of fun to hang out with, especially after you get off the bike. But I just wanted to chime in there and add that. So
Yeah, thank you, Liam. Yeah, we do have very professional but very friendly, mostly bilingual English speaking staff. And Victor, as Liam mentioned, he's our van driver. He's Chilean. He's from Coyhaique, Chile, way down in Patagonia. He's learning through us English every time he goes. So this is an opportunity for him to learn. Just a wonderful guy, and has a wonderful family down there. So excited to have both him and Seba and Liam as part of our tour. We may add some others depending on how many people we get for the tour. All right, thank you for that. So I'll just quickly go day by day and kind of give you a brief overview of each day. And if you have any questions about each day, we'll kind of zoom through this a little bit. But again, we're going south to north. So a lot of people, and I talk about extended stays, a lot of people do come in a day or two early, I'll be honest. So that this tour starts on a Tuesday. I'm sure there will be interest in people coming in on Monday. So it's an overnight flight. So you tend to leave, if you do that, you're going to leave on Sunday. Yes, you're going to leave on Sunday, overnight flight from the US, arrive into country on that Monday. So a lot of people do that just because it's a long travel and they just want to have some time to settle in. We do that anyway. So you'll see that the first couple of days, we're going to stay in Puerto Varas at the same hotel just to get people comfortable with the surroundings and settle down after the long travel. Obviously get all the bikes and things like that situated. But we do see a lot of people coming in a day or two early just to unwind from the long travel. Again, that's an extended stay option that we'll book the hotels for you, and you can pay the hotel directly. So day one, we'll probably spend a little bit of time on the bike, maybe just getting our bags, making sure the bikes are fitted. We'll do all the building back up of your bikes if you're bringing your own. If you have a rental, it's good to go. We'll fit you to it, but we'll make sure you're situated on a very comfortable ride. It's about 27 miles right along Lago Yanquihue, so Lake Yanquihue. Very gentle, not more than so about 1,000 feet of climbing, great roads. Newly paved roads, honestly. This was gravel 10 years ago when I first went to Chile, fully paved now. So you'll see that a lot. Brand new pavement in southern Chile. They really have invested quite a bit in cycling tourism. You see bike-friendly placards on a lot of the hotels that we go to. Okay, so this is part of by far my favorite town in southern Chile. That's what it looks like. That's the view. This is the view looking at the city, and if you look over to the right, that's the view looking in the opposite direction across Lago Yanquihue. From that point, you can see, I think, three, not in this photo, but I think you can see three volcanoes. So that's Volcano El Sorno, Volcano Cabuco on the right, which is active, believe it or not. We don't climb up that one. And then there's another volcano up in the border of Argentina. So we're looking east here. But from this vantage point, you can see 3 or 4 different volcanoes looking kind of northeast along the Andes. Again, wonderful restaurants. I know all the hotels. I've stayed in a number of them. We stay in a hotel called Hotel Solace, which I think is one of these in the background up on top of the hill. This is the waterfront. Just an amazing town. Again, very German inspired, but very tourism friendly. The roads are great, right on the lake. So amazing time. So that's day one. Day two, we go up to another one of my favorite towns called Frutillar, which, believe it or not, means strawberry, Liam, in Chilean Spanish. And again, a very, very German-inspired town right on the lake, about 15, 20 miles north. We'll kind of wind through a little bit and along the coast a little bit up to Frutillar, have lunch up there, turn around and come back. Again, it's an out and back day for this day. About 43 miles. Again, beautiful. This is the view right along Lago Yanquihue during that day. And we'll spend some time at Frutillar. It's just an amazing town. We'll come back to Puerto Varas at the end of that ride. And again, the beachfront, if the weather's good, it's black volcanic beaches. The beach will be full of people that time of year, and it's very, very popular. And the water's great to swim in. Lots of shopping opportunities and things like that. Lots of coffee shops as well. So this is day 3. So again, this normally was our day 6, I think, going north to south, Liam, but we're going from south to north. So we're actually going to hit the volcano on day 3. So the vast majority of the riding for the week is just gentle rolling countryside, just as you would imagine, farmland. We're not in the Andes at all because there's number one, there's no roads up there. So you can see the Andes, but we're not really in them, with maybe one exception where we climb up to the top of, not the, quite the top, to the ski area at Volcano Volcano on day 3. So that would be probably Friday. So again, we're riding along the lake, and then we'll climb up to the ski area and have some lunch up there, and then ride back down to the hotel that day. Very iconic climb. That's my friend Hunter, who runs the Peaks Coaching Camp the following week at the very top. So 12.350 kilometers, which is about 7-8 miles to the top. And it's about a 4,000 foot elevation gain, I think, that day, just on that climb. Okay. Right down the road, actually, that day we'll be visiting probably one of the most famous tourist attractions in the south of Chile. It's the waterfalls called Los Saltos, which means waterfalls, or the falls. In southern Chile, it's called Los Saltos de Petrohue. A very beautiful spot, and it looks like that pretty much every time we go. I've got about a dozen photos that look just like that. It's a wonderfully beautiful part of the world, and it's really an amazing photo opportunity. And they've got cafes and shops and things like that in the museum that we can go to that day as well.
I just want to say real quick, it's not, if you look at that photo of the merchandise there in the middle, that's not $15,000. That's just 15,000 pesos. So you're all good on souvenir prices.
Yeah. So yeah, actually, we can talk about that real quick. A little bit of sidebar. So 15,000 pesos is about $15 right now. So the prices have gone up in the last 10 years. I'll be honest, in Chile, but it's still probably 15% less than what you would typically find in a comparable town in the U.S. or shop. They obviously have all the name brand things. They have the Patagonia, the North Face stores, and things like that. Just like you would imagine that you would find here. And then you have these little family-run shops at the waterfalls, for example. This is where I get all the sweaters from my family. In fact, I've got several right in that photo. But the exchange rate is about 1-to-1 if you drop the 30. So 15,000 pesos is about $15 right now. The exchange rate is about that. So it's in our favor, actually. When I first went to Chile, it was not that 15,000 pesos was probably closer to $20. All right, so day 4, we're on the road now. So again, we're going hotel, lake to lake now. After spending 2 or 3 days in Puerto Varas at a single hotel, we're on the road now. So we're moving every day. We have obviously staff to move all your luggage and get in the van for you, but we're moving. And this is day 4. So we're going from a little hamlet really called Las Cascadas, and a really great hotel that we haven't stayed at in the last couple of years, but they've got new owners now. They were closed for a while. They have new owners, so we're going back right on the lake. Beautiful, unbelievably beautiful black sand beaches, and the sunset over Lago Yanquihue is just amazing. So about 36 miles that day up to another town called Entre Lagos on Lago Puyehue. And we usually stop at a little coffee shop or an ice cream shop right there before we transport about 15, maybe 20 minutes over to one of my favorite hotels, Lodge El Paique, which is, if you can see the letter O here, it's right about at the letter O. Actually, no, it's a little bit south of the letter E right there, right off the lake. Beautiful little boutique hotel run by a French couple, friends of mine. They relocated their family to Chile probably about 15 years ago, about the hotel. So an average day, 36.5 miles. And this is Lago Puyehue. We had the option to go kayaking, which I did. That's me on Lago Puyehue a couple of years ago. Great views from the hotel. That view came from the deck of the hotel, looking out. I guess it would be southwest to a volcano called Puntiagudo, which means pointy hat in Chile in Spanish. This is the view over Lago Puyehue, looking towards Argentina to the east here. In fact, that may be the international line, or the board right there at the top of the snow. All right, day 5, we're moving. Again, we're moving from Entre Lagos this day. We have a couple of options. Official options. Again, there's lots of unofficial options. If you only want to ride 20 miles that day or 0 miles, perfectly fine. We'll get you in the van and try to get to the hotel as quickly as possible. But you will be in the van supporting with the support driver, let's say, but there may be an option towards the end of the ride to scoot people ahead that don't want to ride to the finish, and we'll do that. We've done that, not a problem. A couple of official options, about 87 miles, so that's a long ride. It's a beautiful ride, but it's a long one. And then a shorter option starting from Lago Ranco, another one of my favorite towns in southern Chile, right on Lago Ranco, the lake. So that's about 40 miles. Again, we haven't done this eastern loop around Lago Ranco in probably 3 or 4 years, but that is one of the most epic lakeside rides I've ever been on. Really amazing. All right, moving on, day 5. So day 5 still. So we're still in Lago Ranco. We're going to be staying in actually. We'll talk about the hotels a little bit further on in the presentation, but we'll be staying on the east side of the lake this trip. And a friend of mine has some really beautiful boutique cabañas, bird-inspired and cabañas with hot tubs and things like that, right next to Lago Ranco. And it's a brand new old restaurant right on the lake that we'll go to this year. All right, so day 6, we'll be riding from Futrono, going south to north up to another town called Panguipulli, and has a kind of a funny name, but it's one of my favorite little towns as well. Great coffee shops and great restaurants. On the lower right, that's what it looks like from the lakefront, a brand new lakefront. This was under construction up until probably 2 years ago. So they laid down all the brick and did the waterfront really, really well. So it's a beautiful little spot right up the hill as you're on the opposite of where you're looking is the town. And we stay actually over to the right of this photo. And again, lakeside cabañas with wonderful hospitality, real close to town. All right. So this will be an amazing day, and I'll give you a little hint. So it's not about the riding today. The riding is very, very short. It's about 23 miles. Again, a beautiful ride, which I've done. You end up on the shores of Lago Calefquén. You can see that in the map, and we end up in a town called Coñaripe, and we'll finish there. And it may seem short. You may be asking for some more miles that day, but the balance of the day will be spent here. So this is, again, another very famous tourist attraction in the south of Chile. Very famous. It's called the Termas Geometricas. It's the hot springs, the geometric hot springs. All naturally fed hot springs, both hot and cold, into these amazing pools. And these pools that you see here, there are probably about 12 or 14 of these that are very, very similar, larger and smaller, all different temperatures as you go up this valley, this very lush green, you can see the ferns green valley, all the way up to the end where there's the waterfall where the cold water is fed into the pools, and then they mix it with the hot water that's literally coming out of Volcano Villarrica to the left. So just an amazing experience. We'll have lunch there and take our time and have a wonderful 2 or 3 hours at Termas Geometricas. Before we get in the van, we'll probably get in the van to make our last little jaunt up to the town of Pucón, which is our end town on day 7, and we'll have dinner on the volcano. We'll check into the hotel, unwind a little bit, and then another one of my favorite hotels or restaurants rather is the restaurant right on Volcano Villarrica, and that is the view. So the end of the table is the upper photos here in this slide. That's exactly what it looks like, and that volcano is live, as you can tell from the left-hand photo. It was a little bit more active 2 or 3 years ago. So my friend Percy, who was on this tour, has a very, very good camera. So we stayed a little bit later after dinner, let the sun set and the stars come out. And that's one of the photos that he took of that volcano. We estimated, and this is a very large volcano. This is as big as the one you climb, although that one's not active. This one is the one that you climb earlier in the week. This is active, and it's about 8,500 feet to the top. So we estimated that little lava spurt was probably 300 or 400 feet tall. So, and there were bigger ones. So it's a very active, mildly active volcano that gives us a great view that evening.
I want to say something on that real quick on the volcano.
Yeah.
It is, so I'm actually a bit of an active volcano expert. I'm a full-time tour guide of them here in Central America. But I will say that, well, it is technically basically
I
currently
think we're losing you.
mildly active. They are basically 100% unpredictable.
I'm saying, can you repeat that a little bit? We lost you a little bit, Liam.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I got you back now. Yeah, I was just saying that while currently Villarrica is mildly active, it is entirely unpredictable. Last year we had a couple larger eruptions that we saw from town in Pucón, but that can obviously change at any time. So keep your hopes up. Basically, sometimes we see more loss than other years.
The views are amazing. Yeah. So obviously the scientists and the seismologists are there. So there's plenty of. They haven't had an eruption, obviously, since 1956. In fact, one of the restaurants we'll go to probably the next night has a big photo up on their wall. The last volcano eruption, I think it was the 50s or 60s. So they evacuated the town then, but really nothing since. So there's no fear of any imminent fear of any eruption that affects anything that we do. But it's a beautiful backdrop to the town. Really beautiful. So we'll ride, since it's day 8, I said it's a 7-day tour. It's really 8 days. So for anybody that's not leaving in the morning we'll transport them, if they are, up to Temuco. It's about an hour and a half. But if you're staying, number one, if you're staying for our bonus tour, we'll have a couple extra days of riding, actually, if you want, plus all the activities. But the morning of our last day, let's say, there is the option to ride up to Lago Cabugua, which is another beautiful lake. It looks like that. My friends from New York were on the tour, last year, Liam, 2 years ago. And that's the view from the lakeside. Again, brand new waterfront, beach is wonderful. This time of year, the beach will be full. So feel free to jump in. As a number of people have each tour. Talk a little bit about the accommodations. I did mention a little bit about them throughout the presentation, but this is kind of a summary. Again, it varies. In Pucón, any of the major tourist centers, the hotels are wonderful, and there are a lot to choose from, right? So Pucón, for example, where we end this tour, and Puerto Varas, where we start the tour, very tourist-friendly town, very built-up hotels, new hotels every time we visit. So I liken it to like Lake Placid in upstate New York, or Lake Tahoe, California. So it's kind of has that kind of vibe for each of those towns. And in between, the choices are considerably slimmer and smaller. So we stay at the best available. A lot of times that's cabañas in between our small boutique-ish hotels. So we've curated a lot of these, and I'm personal friends with virtually all of them. So they really treat us very, very well, whether it's the 3 or 4-star hotel or it's the local cabañas. So this is kind of a sample of what we do. Any questions about the accommodations or anything else I talked about? Okay. So how and when do you go? So again, we really have two main tours. I'll really focus on the first one. So the January 6th through the 13th. That tour starts on the 6th, which is the Tuesday, and you're going to fly into this airport, Puerto Montt. Again, we fly into that airport. We transport you about 20 minutes to the little town, the lakeside town of Puerto Varas. So that's where you would arrive to. We had asked you to arrive no later than the tour start date. Again, we strongly recommend, if you want to unwind a little bit, to come in a day early, and we'll book that hotel room for you, and you can pay the hotel directly. The departure airport is a town called Temuco, and that's the airport code ZCO. Again, please don't schedule your departure time any sooner than the tour end date. So this would be the 13th. If you wanted to stay for the extended tour, I guess that would be the 16th or the 17th. So the 16th is a Friday. The 17th is the tour start date for the next tour. So we'd like to be done no later than the 17th in that morning for sure, in terms of if you needed to get transported to the airport, which if we do, if it somehow schedules don't align, we have arranged for other shuttles for you, which we'll also pay for. So on the departure dates. Again, all flights connect to Santiago, Chile, and that's SCL. You only really need to do that. So if you're looking at Google Flights or Expedia or Priceline, those are the airport codes that you want to fly into and out of. And I mentioned the dates. We do provide the tour shuttle, as I mentioned. Again, tour extensions are always available. And we'll book the hotels for you if you want to stay longer. A number of people have stayed longer after the tour, especially the ones we've gone from north to south. A lot of people have gone further south into Patagonia to Puerto Arenas and Torres del Paine to visit those areas. And that's another flight that they could take directly from Puerto Vallarta Airport if they wanted to do that. All right, that may be, this is just a quick summary of our tours that we've got. I mentioned those dates. Again, in between the two main tours, between the Lakes and Volcanoes tour and the Peaks Coaching Group Camp, we do have the Adventure Bonus Tour. What we're going to do, I didn't mention that, we're going to do whitewater rafting, or maybe I didn't. Whitewater rafting and boat tours and trekking and hiking and things like that. All things that I've been dying to do in the Pucón area. So I'll be just as happy as you are to participate in those activities. Okay, I've talked enough. I'll open it up to any questions, or Liam, if you wanted to comment on something that I forgot, then please feel free.
No, any questions, guys? Any questions regarding the tour, staff, Chile?
Any thoughts on the tour, Doug and Mary? I know you and we talked about that a little bit. Do you have any questions beyond what we talked about before?
Not really. This filled in a lot of the blanks. I do have one question, just getting down into some details. What's the schedule for that we need to make payment?
Okay. So it's a $500 deposit at any time, and you can do that up until, really 30 days prior to the tour departure date, at which point the balance is due. So 30 days up until the tour departure date is when the balance is due. So the balance would be due, I guess it would be December 6th in that area. But you can pay the deposit anytime. Again, that's negotiable. If you feel free, you can't feel like you can't make a decision until a little bit after that, just give me a buzz. There's no hard and fast rules of this thing, but that's the general schedule of payment. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Yep. You're welcome. Kendra, did you have any thoughts or comments or questions?
Yeah, as far as like shipping a bike versus renting a bike, what are the comparative costs?
Yeah. Okay, so I think, and it's on our website, so it's anthemsportstours.com. We do have the rental rates, and we break it down between aluminum frame and carbon frame. So that's there. I think it's $500 or $700 depending, aluminum carbon for the week. If you wanted to bring your own bike, and probably about half the people that come on this tour bring their own. I bring my own usually. It depends on the airline. If you're flying out of JFK direct on LATAM Airlines, which is probably the airline you would be on, or Delta, they're kind of the same company. It's fairly inexpensive, maybe $150, $200 each way. And I say that I usually only pay one way. The Chileans don't get too aggressive about charging fees on the way home. So maybe one out of every 3 or 4 times I've flown home with my bike, I paid. And even then, it's only $100 going the other direction back up to the U.S. So you can, if you wanted to do that, to bring your own bike and you break it down yourself, or take to a bike shop and pack it up for you, it's probably going to cost you, all said and done, maybe $350 round trip.
I want to add to this too. So we will totally support you if you do want to bring your own bike. Just a couple guidelines. Make sure you get some good miles in on it. Or at least bring a bike that you know pretty well. You don't want to bring a broken bike, because we've had situations in the past where, it's just not working out 3-4 days in the trip, and we have to go grab you a rental bike, and it's an additional cost that you weren't expecting. So keep that in mind. And then in addition to that, if you do bring your own bike and you're pretty confident with it, we assemble it for you. So our mechanical staff will take care of all that for you. We'll build it up and then break it back down again. As long as you're departing on the right days, we'll take care of all that for you. We'll provide the most perfect assistance we can. So just keep that in mind as well. If you bring your own bike, we definitely encourage it as well. If you're going to rent a bike, especially if you don't want to risk getting your bike banged up in a box over a big long flight, it's a great option as well. So we're here to help you. Just keep those things in mind.
Yep.
Hi, this is Juan Valencia. How are you guys? I got this email some time ago, and I've been meaning to get on one of these to find out more about the tours. And I hope I'm not invading here. It seems like some folks are already kind of on track to go. I got on to really just find out more about what you guys offer and the itinerary and all that good stuff. So
yeah, absolutely.
welcome.
Thank you for joining. Yeah,
great. So I had a question about the bike rental. Thanks for the information about the bike transport. That's really insightful. As far as the bike rentals, do you guys deal with just a couple of particular bike shops? And if so, like what types of bikes do they offer? Do they specialize in a particular brand, or just curious about that?
Right. So again, the choices in Chile, the variety in Chile has gotten better over the last 10 years in terms of choices. It's not quite, certainly in the south of Chile, we're this much further, beyond Santiago, where there's everything, right? So southern Chile is done better. So the options it's a variety. You can get anything from a 5 or 6 year old aluminum bike to a brand new carbon bike as a rental. So, and they're it could be specialized, could be giant, pretty much everything. Trek. In fact,
what size do you use, Juan?
Rental bikes. Yeah.
I use a 54.
Yeah.
54, a medium.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He'd probably get put on the giant or one of the trucks.
Yeah, a million 54s. Yeah. So lots of options. Carbon, aluminum. Yeah, no issue. And they're all good bikes. Yeah, beautiful bikes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I have a giant, so that's actually good. That's a good.
And that's within reason. Like, we work with one shop, and we also use our own bikes for some. But within reason, you'll get on a bike that you'll feel like. One thing I say about on these bike adventures, and Doug and Mary are aware of this, is like, you're not going to be on your bike if you're on a rental bike. So keep that in mind. But you're going to be on something that you're going to feel comfortable enough to ride a week on. And so just keep those in mind. So it's usually Trek or Giant, some specialized. So.
Yeah. Two things regarding that. So if you travel with your own bike, you're obviously going to pack it up in a bike box. Well, and we're not going to carry that during the week. So what we do is we rent a box truck and we'll ship it to the end town. So we don't have to carry that in our tour van or on top or anything like that. That gets shipped separately, and you can actually put extra things that you don't need that week inside your bike box, and it'll be in the hotel at the end. So there's that. And I forgot the other thing I was going to mention. Oh, the other thing I want to mention. So if you're going to rent a bike, you definitely want to bring your own pedals, and maybe your own saddle. If you're really comfortable with your own saddle, we'll mount that both of those things on the rental bike at the other end. And obviously, all the cycling gear, you're going to need your own helmets. Obviously, are required.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. But the variety of rental bikes available it was zero 10 years ago. Now it's pretty much anything you want. Yeah, and we have a full bike trailer. Actually, I had a bike trailer built. It's a beautiful 15 or 16 bike trailer, brand new, that's sitting there down in Chile for us to use. Yep. Plus the tour van. Yep.
The greatest part, I think, about this tour, everyone, is that you really, and we have this comment all the time on these, is they come up to me like, Liam, Dieter, I'm so happy I didn't have to worry about anything the whole week. Like, we're usually stationed at every corner with someone directing you guys. So even if you didn't have GPS, which most people have, you're fine. As far as your bikes, we can take care of it. Like loading up your luggage, it's on us. Like, we grab it usually from outside your hotel door every morning. And then it's sometimes even in your room before you even get off your bike. And so the best thing about these tours is you just get to ride on open road and enjoy the scenery, stop in the towns, enjoy the culture, enjoy the food. You don't have to worry about a thing logistics wise. It's a fantastic adventure. Fantastic.
Yeah, that is truly our goal. You get off the plane in Puerto Montt, and there are hopefully no worries for the whole week. We try to take all of that away, so you just get to go ride your bike and drink great wine and have great food and meet great people and see great views and volcanoes. That is really the goal. And as Liam mentioned, the support on the road, we overdo that. My events and race and Grand Fondo promotion experience and history kind of pushes me to support at that level. We don't want anybody getting lost. We don't want anybody getting hurt. So we kind of overdo that a little bit. We want to make sure you're safe on the road, especially for people that have never traveled outside of the country. Here I am in northern Patagonia riding my bike, and maybe you're all alone. You want to feel like you're alone. We want to make sure you feel comfortable down there. So we tend to do that. Again, with the GPS thing, it's very, very handy. We know exactly where everybody is. In fact, as Liam knows, there's been a couple of instances where people have made the wrong turns, and we know it in real time. So we go chase them down get them turned around and come back to the hotel or the lunch stop that we're at. Yeah. So we really value that part. We want to make sure people feel very safe and comfortable. That's the most important.
Any other questions, everyone, regarding Chile bike tour? Anything at all? We're planning a pretty fun one. This will be, yeah, like I said, we have a great team, great staff for this season, and yeah, it's gonna be a pretty fun adventure this year. It'll be a good time.
And again, I've done the presenting here, but I'm going to be a guest. I'm going to be one of you in January. Actually, I think my wife is going to come down with me this trip. So I'm going to have my name on the van just like everybody else, like I did last year when I rode. So I'm really excited about that. And again, the bonus tour is going to be something those areas and those destinations and places are things that I've wanted to do it for a long time. So I'm really excited about that too.
Real quick before we end it, I just want to take a little I guess a questionnaire almost from everyone. Give me a thumbs up if you guys like wine, like good wine. There's okay. So let's talk. Oh, there.
Don't give away the special story. That's my favorite story to tell.
I'm not going to give away any story. All I'm going to say is that wine is basically included on this tour. And let me just put this in perspective here. You go to the grocery market in North America, the US, Europe, wherever you're based out of, and you walk in there with $25, 30 euros, you're going to get an okay average bottle of wine, maybe from Spain, California, wherever. You walk at some of these restaurants we go to, we'll drop $25 roughly per bottle is what it averages out to. And it's probably the equivalent of what $150 bottle would cost in your respective countries on average, sometimes more. The quality of wine, again, it's all produced nationally, domestically there in Chile, and it's top quality. Some of our tour guides, Seba, for example, he's a bit of an expert in wine, and so he'll do like a little speech about each bottle, sometimes each night, and we have like what I call a wine tasting party, which really turns into a very good evening. If you like wine, and if you like mountains, if you like riding your bicycle, if you like great food, again, like my dad touched on this a little bit here, there's not really a lot of fast food in Chile. There's not really a lot of food distribution, and so usually everything you're eating is pretty darn local, and as well, very, very high quality. So if you like all those things, this is definitely the tour for you. Yeah. It's like a party on your bicycle in South America in one of the most scenic places to ride your bicycles in the world. So just keep that in mind. It's a great time.
It's yeah, go ahead, Doug.
So wine story. We joined Liam for the beta tour in Iceland this summer. And at one of the very nice restaurants and hotels, we ordered a bottle of wine. It came. It was excellent wine that was from Chile. So we're hoping to try and find that same bottle somewhere locally down there. And it was pretty good. I think we had a second bottle. He doesn't remember, but I think we had a second.
Do you still have a photo of it? Do you still have a photo of that? The bottle?
Yeah, somewhere I do. Yeah.
Yeah. Send me that photo when you get a chance, Doug, and I'll have that waiting for you on your hotel bed by the time.
You're so kind.
I'm
and also that's not very surprising knowing Liam. The GPS tracking thing was great for us in Iceland. We didn't have it in Colombia, but in Iceland it was good, and he would bounce between the faster riders and back to the not so fast riders, making sure that we were okay and we were on track. And if we needed anything, especially on the second day when it, 50-mile-an-hour winds and rain, and we shouldn't have been out there, but we were anyway, and it was all part of the adventure. So yeah, I can kind of attest. Been on two of you guys' tours. Both of them were beta tours, so I'm kind of looking for something where you got everything plugged in. So talking about the we're probably about 96.73% sure we're going to go on this. We're also gonna do the extension. So talk to us about the extension. In Iceland, it was awesome. Probably on par or better than the motorcycle tour that I did and the bicycle tour. There was really 3 parts to our Iceland tour, and that last part was fantastic. So talk to us a little bit about what the extension is gonna be
And where?
and where.
Less
Right.
glacier.
Less glaciers, yeah, fewer glaciers, yeah. There are glaciers in Chile, but way far south. So we'll be finishing this tour in the town of Pucón, which again is a very touristy town. Lots of activity. It's very busy. In fact, the contrast between December and January in Pucón is pretty dramatic because of the traffic and the number of people that are in town. It's a very, very popular town especially for people from Santiago to visit. It's the Riviera of southern Chile, let's say, of Chile. Yes, so to answer your question, so we're right at the base of Volcano Villarrica. So all sorts of activities to do there. We're definitely going to go to the Lava Tube Caves, which is something I've always wanted to do. We never take that left, and we always take the right up to the volcano, which we will do also. But we're going to take the left to go up to the Lava Tube Caves to do a guided tour through those caves. It's wonderful. There's the Rio Pucón, actually west of town, that we'll do some whitewater rafting through the Rio Pucón at that time. So hopefully we'll get a little bit of rapids that time of year. So that's an exciting thing that I've always wanted to do. We're going to take a boat tour out on the lake, a dinner boat tour. I think it's a dinner boat tour on a pirate boat out on Lago Villarrica. And so we'll do that. And then we'll just have extended time on the beach, which we've never really had. It's always been a hectic time. We'd fly into Pucón and fly south. Now we'll have a couple extra days to spend more time on the beach and have some great Chilean wine and enjoy the festivities right there in Pucón. That's just a sample. We haven't thought fully at all the other activities, but we're definitely going to do a handful of activities through those 3 or 4 days. I mean, 3. Yeah.
Doug, to answer it a little bit more too, it'll probably be a little bit less driving, obviously. So when we were in Iceland and we did our beta add-on there, we spent a significant amount of time in the car, which was great because you're always looking at something beautiful out the window, right? But it'll probably be a little bit less, definitely a lot less driving. Everything's a lot closer, so a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more chill.
Yeah. And you're staying in the same Hotel Geronimo, 3 or 4 days. We're not, again, the previous 7 days, you're moving all around. That 3 days for the adventure bonus tour, you're in one hotel with a million activities to choose from. Yep. I'll put together that full schedule. I have the schedule for the tour, the base tour, the full schedule for the adventure bonus tour. I mentioned I have it in my head. I have kind of a framework of that, but we'll have that fully developed in another week with all the links to all the attractions that will be going on.
And then also we'll be interested in the costs as well.
Of course.
For the add-on. Yeah. Do we have is there a cost for, do we know what it is? Okay. The other question I've got, you mentioned about kayaking. We will get to kayak down there.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, you saw me kayaking in Lago Puyehue. We have access to kayaks in a number of different lakes throughout the week, actually. I'm thinking we'll have it in Lago Villarrica, Lago Puyehue. Yeah, all those lakes.
I think that there's going to be 2 or 3 total opportunities. Just one thing I want to clarify, weather permitting. The weather is generally speaking fantastic, but obviously if it's a cloudy day, we'll advise against it, but unlikely. So
great point. Again, in 10 years, on average, we have one wettish day throughout the week to ride in, maybe. And the rain isn't a downpour usually. It's kind of usually, for whatever reason, it's just kind of a misty rain. It's never a downpour. So we've always ridden. We've never not ridden our bikes that I can remember. So plan on one day that may be overcast on average and maybe raining. For the rest of it, I mean, it's full on summer in southern Chile. It's beautiful. We've had as high as 90 degrees Fahrenheit there, 92, in fact. And the average temperature is going to be probably 75, 80 that week.
So not like Iceland then.
No, not like that.
the answer is no. The answer is
No gravel either. I apologize.
Okay, guys. So for Kendra and Juan, I took Doug and Mary, Lance, and their friend Lance, and another gentleman, Chaz, through Iceland a couple months ago on what we call a beta tour. It's like a trial tour in a new territory for us. And we had this one day that I will remember for the rest of my career as the most dangerous day to ride your bicycle, I think, in the history of riding bicycles. I watched one of our guests literally his bike. He was walking his bike down a hill because the rain was so bad. And he watched the bike go sideways into the wind while he's holding the top to it. It was crazy. No, weather is like that. It's not like that in Chile, especially in the summertime, which would be January, February down there. It's generally speaking pretty warm, lot of sunshine, not a ton of rain. And actually a little bit of a higher UV index because there's low ozone down there. So bring sunscreen or buy some sunscreen. But no, it's a great place to ride your bicycle. I had a quick question though for both you, Juan and Kendra. Where are you two calling in from today?
I'm in Easton.
PA?
No, like right by the fairground and by the tour of that hill.
Oh, no kidding.
Oh, nice.
All right.
Oh, man.
Oh, from home. That's awesome. Yeah, great.
Cool.
I'm calling from New Jersey.
All right.
I got you. Well, yeah, nice to meet you both. I'm calling Doug and Mary. Go ahead and introduce yourselves a little bit.
Yeah, we're in the Des Moines, Iowa, central Iowa area. And like I said, we've done the Columbia beta tour on gravel and the Iceland tour here this summer. So we've worked with these guys and we actually met bicycling thanks to Ragbri. So we've been together for a good ton of years. So and we like to ride bicycles together, and for that reason I can't quit my 2-day-a-week part-time job at the bicycle shop because the discount is valuable. So
Very.
Kyle's
Yeah.
bike.
Nice to meet you.
So, the comment on the difference between renting the bikes and shipping our bikes. So when we went to Columbia, we shipped our bikes down, and everything went well. The charges, I don't think we got charged leaving the United States, but we got $200 each for coming back. So there's $400 because we got 2 bikes to do.
Sure.
As far as putting them together and taking them apart, I can do that. You know, that wasn't really an issue. But for us on the second time, and we're still kind of debating a little bit whether we bring our own bikes, but we're leaning very heavily towards renting bikes. We rented bikes in Iceland, and it was a gravel ride, so I had a Trek aluminum frame gravel checkpoint, and Mary actually had a local manufacturer in Iceland, if you know who that is, Lolf, with the funky front suspension spring thing and that kind of stuff. She said it was just like riding her Warbird, and I didn't notice any difference from, I've got a carbon Diverge that I have at home, and it was aluminum. It was a little rough, but nothing would have helped on some of those roads. So I was very fine, but we did, as Dieter said, we brought our saddles and we bought our pedals, and so that way it felt very much like ourselves. We even had a few extra stems, but I would imagine you probably have some down there already.
Got a whole fleet of them down there. Yep.
We have a full. So in Chile, it's we try out for Kendra and Juan. We try out new markets from time to time, like I mentioned, with what we call a beta tour. But in Chile, it's not that. It's we're a full-on, I would say, cycling tourism agency at this point.
We were the first U.S.-based tour operator to do this tour. Now, if you go to, there's 8 different copies of it now. They all use my name too. I called it the Lakes and Volcanoes tour. They all call it that now. So, all right, more bikes is better. No issue there. But we'll see a number of those other tours actually when we've been down there. I think, yeah, they do slightly different route maybe. But,
so as far as the rental bikes go, I've got no problem with renting a bike down there. These guys, both Dieter and Liam, no bikes. They're going to be upper end. You're going to be comfortable on them, just from my experience. And for us, not to have the hassle of packing up, our bikes and putting them together and that kind of stuff. For us, the rental makes a perfect option. But it was also kind of nice to have our own bikes on the Columbia tour. So it could go either way.
Sure. Doesn't matter to us. If you want to bring your own bike, we will build it up and tear it back down at the end of the week and box it up for you. Yep. Again, Sava can do that. I can do that. Liam can do that. So, yep. No problem. We're a little bit over time, so I appreciate, unless anybody else has any more questions or comments, you can certainly email or text me later and I'll stick it in an email, my contact info if you don't already have it. But thank you all for joining. It's really great to get to know you all, and hopefully we'll see you in Chile in January.
Would real
Thank you
quick,
very much. Have a good
by
night.
a show of hands, go ahead real quick. Just go ahead, raise your hand if you'd be interested in being. We use WhatsApp for a lot of these communications on these tours. Would you be interested in joining a WhatsApp group to talk about to stay in touch and receive more information on it? Just give me like a thumbs up if you'd be interested in it. Thumbs
No.
down. No WhatsApp for Kendra. All good.
No matter. No matter.
Oh, no matter. You're right. That is a Facebook product. You're right. Yeah.
That's fair. Valid.
It's a funny thing though, because WhatsApp, we don't use, nobody uses WhatsApp in the US, but everybody outside the US uses WhatsApp. Like they don't use phones, they call via WhatsApp. So they use their phone.
I've lived out of, I'll give you context. I've lived outside of the United States for almost 4 years now. I live in Central America currently. I probably have sent 5 SMS messages in the last and a half year.
Yeah.
It's all WhatsApp.
No, WhatsApp's the way to go.
All
But anyway,
good.
guys, we'll if you're interested, we'll add you guys. Juan will reach out and we'll get your phone number. And then we'll be in touch. Kendra will be in touch via email. So
Very good.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
thanks for sticking around. Much appreciated. Thanks for joining.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Doug and Mary are my favorite people. Well, there they go.